These are the technology stories that look small at first, then reveal a hidden mechanism, a weird format choice, or a design trade-off that changed the result. From games and gadgets to recordings and railroads, each one leaves a sharper footprint than you'd expect. A bomb disposal tie-in from 1994 surprised players by feeling like a puzzle game, not an action game. Blown Away was based on the 1994 film of the same name, and MGM Interactive handled its first release. The surprise was the design choice. Instead of leaning on explosions, the game centered on puzzle gameplay. That shift made reviewers notice the logic challenge first, because the movie-style action expectation kept getting interrupted. So a bomb disposal label led people to a different memory, a 1994 tie-in built around thinking through the next move at the console. Most games pick one format first. The Witcher adventure game launched as a board game and a digital adaptation in 2014. CD Projekt Red worked with Fantasy Flight Games on the Witcher universe. The same release had to fit a table, a screen, and 2 to 4 players. That meant one set of rules had to work in both places. Players chose Geralt, Triss Merigold, Dandelion, or Yarpen Zygrin, then chased quests and victory points. The result was parallel play, not a board game with a digital add-on. Tabletop pieces and screen controls launched together, side by side. So the interesting part is the release plan itself. A box, a screen, and a quest map all arrived in the same 2014 package. A spill-proof mug met a baseball bat on camera. That was the kind of test Lamar Wilson used to review gadgets. Wilson built a long career making product reviews and unboxing videos. He spoke to general viewers, not just hardware enthusiasts. Before media, he worked in school technology and ran an education consulting firm. Inc. noted that background pushed him toward plain language, so his reviews skipped jargon and used everyday words. A product was explained by what it did under pressure. That made the review feel like the demo itself. You watched the mug, the test, and the result in one simple scene. Most Game Boy movie tie-ins ended on the screen. Little Nicky could spit out results on paper. It launched in 2000 in North America only. Digital Eclipse built it for the Game Boy Color, based on the comedy film. The surprise was support for the Game Boy printer. After 24 levels and 5 mini-games, the game could send results to that tiny accessory. That turned a portable play session into a paper object. Instead of vanishing after a run, the result could sit beside the console. So a licensed platform game left behind a printed sheet, not just pixels. For collectors, that little paper strip is the strangest part of Little Nicky. Retro Mystery Club Volume 1, the Aya Tsushima case hit release in 2019. Development had started in 2010. The title sounds compact, almost like a small case file, but the timeline says the project lived for years before launch. That gap is the key mechanism. Development can stretch far beyond a game's size on paper. A small mystery game can still sit in production from 2010 to 2019. By release, the wait had become part of the package. The 2019 version arrived after a long stretch of unfinished work, not a quick build. So the small game carried a 9-year shadow from first start to shelf. The final object is simple, a mystery title, released in 2019, after 2010 planning. A singer's voice could survive on a tiny cylinder, not a concert hall. Marie Engel was one of the earliest operatic voices captured that way. Engel was an American mezzo-soprano who trained with Adelina Muriocelli del Poo. She first appeared at New York's Academy of Music. Then she moved through major stages, San Francisco in 1886, Covent Garden in London, and Drury Lane. Bettini cylinders caught her voice before microphones existed. That made the cylinders more than souvenirs. They became a bridge between live opera and early sound preservation. So when Marie Engel's name appears beside Bettini cylinders, it points to a fragile object with a long reach. One cylinder, one voice, one opera career. A British steam locomotive ended up sitting in Kentucky for years. That machine was Flying Duchess, resting far from the tracks it once worked. It was built in northeast England from 1951 to 1952 by Robert Stevenson and Hawthorns. At first, it worked at Meaford Power Station as MEA No. 2. In 1971, it crossed to the United States and got a new name, Flying Duchess. During the 1970s, it ran on heritage railroads in Michigan and Tennessee. That shift mattered because the locomotive stopped being a power station workhorse and became a traveling exhibit. By 2011, it was on static display at the Log Range Railroad Museum in Kentucky. So the same engine that once moved power and passengers now sits still under museum lights. Its boiler, wheels, and name Flying Duchess remain the whole story in one quiet Kentucky exhibit. A car turn signal is inside a pop song. In Time After Time, that blinking click becomes part of the track. The song is Time After Time by E.G. It was written with Rollo, Drew Scott, and producer Vaughn Oliver, then released on February 6, 2026. The specific sound comes from the Volvo XC60's turn signal. Treated as a musical element, it sits in the arrangement like a tiny percussion hit. That choice turns a routine driving click into texture. The ear stops hearing only a car and starts hearing rhythm. A blink from a Volvo XC60 can ride under a vocal line and still feel natural. In the final mix, it lands like a small mechanical tick beside the melody. If you enjoyed these quiet technical twists, subscribe for more stories where the detail is the whole point, and tell us which one surprised you most.